Kiara, welcome in Gouda. I'm very happy that you're willing to have this interview with me.
Thank you.
We are at the second day of a program called Open Your Heart. But before we start talking about that, I like to know something more about yourself. Can you introduce yourself?
Yeah, my name is Kiara Windrider. I'm a psychotherapist and I've been an author as well. And what I'm doing now is helping people to reconnect with who they are through this process called Ilahi Nur. So Ilahi Nur is about awakening to the superconscious or the higher aspects of the self by working with certain connections in the brain. So as you make those links, it allows these higher fields of light to start coming into the body, and so the center of identity switches from the mind to the heart. And then from there you begin to connect with the cellular wisdom in a way that all kinds of old emotional stuff can be cleared out, the physical body can be healed. So it's really a way of reconnecting with your wholeness.
Yeah, but
very quickly.
At first you was a psychotherapist, and then what makes you decide to step into this world?
Yeah. Well, I was a psychotherapist, a body therapist, regression therapist, and all of that is really good stuff. But it's slow, relatively speaking. So what I wanted was a way that anybody can work with these technologies for healing and for awakening in a way that was relatively easy and quick. And because this works with brain physiology, it's different. It's not just using the mind to try and unravel the mind. It's stepping out of the mind to let the higher consciousness work with the subconscious directly. And so then there's an inner wisdom, a body wisdom, a cellular wisdom that starts to work, which is much, much smarter than the rational mind.
But is it this source you were talking about, is that accessible?
Yes, so this field we are talking about, Ilahi Nur. Ilahi Nur means divine light. So it's a response to this evolutionary wave that's sweeping through the planet. So it's about joining the physical body with the light bodies so we can biologically evolve to the next stage of our evolution. So what that means is that collectively we are waking up our DNA, collectively we're opening to new potentials. And all of this is about joining somehow what we call the physical personality self and the higher self. And actually what it means is dropping this matrix that's linked with duality. So all of the memories we carry from the past keep us locked in this system of duality and conditioning.
Can you explain the term duality a little bit more?
Yeah, duality I would say is basically the idea that we are separate. I'm separate from you, I'm separate from the earth, I'm separate from God. Good and bad, right and wrong, and that leads to judgment, comparison and judgment.
That's what people makes unhappy.
Exactly, that's what causes suffering, like the Buddha said. So as soon as we get attached to something because this is better than something, or we resist something because we think we're going to be hurt, then we hold on to something and reject something. And all of that creates suffering. So once we connect with who we truly are, which is love, which is unity consciousness, which is infinite, then there's no room for this because we know that everything we need is right here. And the universe supplies that endlessly and abundantly.
And your clients and people who join this program can get connected to that source.
Exactly. And very, very quickly. And that's the beauty of this work. Because we're connecting with this matrix, a higher matrix, which is then substituting for the old matrix, which is duality. So it's like, in computer terms, you could talk about erasing an old program and reinstalling a new program. So it's like the mind has nothing to do with it. The mind simply says yes and no.
But most people think the mind does it all.
Yeah, and that's the grief. If you're trying to do something with the mind that it's not built for, it's impossible. Then it ends up, creating even more hurt, more guilt, more shame.
Can you see that more people are getting familiar to that?
I think so. Yeah, I think more and more people are becoming aware of these fields through different systems. There's so many different systems coming up on the planet. And even spontaneously, people are awakening to their higher self. And it's part of the evolutionary wave, as we're transitioning from an old paradigm of duality and competition and greed and oppression, all of that stuff, taking from because we don't have enough in ourselves, to a new paradigm of endless abundance. Mm-hmm. So it's transferring into our political, economic systems, social systems, into our personal lives, into our ability to receive, in our ability to be creators on this planet, not victims anymore.
So if it depends on you, our planet is really just before a big shift, a big change.
Yes, yeah, that's the good news. That to me is such a sign of hope. And part of my research has been looking at how science is describing this. Astrophysicists, biologists, geologists, historians, mythologists, paleontologists, and looking at all the different aspects of this evolution which bring us to this place, and then giving us clues to what's next. And what we are looking at is a cycle. So what's happening now has happened before, will happen again. And so if you know what to look for, we can predict what this next wave will look like. And it is literally a wave. It's a galactic wave coming through our solar system.
12,000 years, every 12,000 years.
Exactly. It's about 12,000 years. And as it moves through our solar system, it initiates a cycle of the sun. And then at a certain point, there's massive solar flares, solar activity, which then creates changes in the magnetic fields of the Earth. And as these magnetic fields fluctuate, eventually you come to a point of collapse. And in that collapse, which is a very short time, many traditions talk about 3 days of darkness. Mm-hmm. That's what this is referring to.
Are you close to that?
Yes, I think so. One way to tell is what's happening with the magnetic fields of the Earth. So the magnetic field is dropping at the same time as the magnetic north is moving. It's tilting towards the position of Siberia very quickly, and it's accelerating. So this acceleration seems to indicate that we're very close to this. And the other thing is what people are experiencing in their own physical bodies. There's all kinds of challenges people are experiencing, immune system breakdowns, nervous system disorders, joint problems. As new energies come in, it's creating all kinds of resistance. Mm-hmm. Not just in the physical body, but also in the emotional body.
And a lot of social complexity.
Yeah, all kinds of neurosis breaking out. And, it's like everything that's been there, that's stuck in the emotional body, that's stuck in the subconscious mind, is breaking loose in response to this light.
If you look back at the 2 days of the program, what do you see? What do you see people getting it, adapting it, the things you say?
Yeah, well, what always happens, and this is so exciting for me to see, is that people start to reconnect with that source energy. And then there's freedom. There's just enormous relief, and people have these peak experiences of joy, at the same time as being very grounded. So it's not just an experience of cosmic oneness, but it's also being very grounded in the physical body, experiencing the connection with the Earth. And that's important. So usually it's like an ability to be more present, more connected, more functional, and at the same time more cosmic, more in unity, consciousness, and to be able to hold that whole spectrum, that multi-dimensional consciousness here in the body.
There's another interesting point you said, that the more people are aware of it, the better chance our planet has have to survive or to go through in a better way.
Right. So what I would say is that this morphogenetic field, Ilahi Nur, is what a morphogenetic field means is that as more people connect with this, it becomes easier for everybody else. And that's what's happening now in response to this galactic wave. There's other mystics who talk about a supramental descent. It's like higher fields of light moving to connect us with other realities, other levels of the mind, and then embodying in a new way so that the soul can completely incarnate. And this is also a part of it. So it's exciting to see, people waking up, people who've never done any kind of meditations before, who start to connect with this inner oneness, to open their hearts. People who've lived with their hearts closed and disconnected and feeling, hurt and all these complex emotions that seem to, we all recognize that.
Yeah.
And we all go through this phase of feeling like I'm the only one who's ever experienced this. I'm the only one who's feeling separate and lonely and lost. And is there a way out of this? And what happens with this is you recognize, well, okay, this is just simply part of that collective matrix that we are releasing. And it's an opportunity to let go of that magnetic field that holds this matrix and to reconnect with the soul matrix, which then takes over. So that unity consciousness then becomes our true identity in physical body. So people experience that as a waking up, as a sense of joy, freedom.
We saw it also happening in your program, in a practical way.
Yeah. So what happens in the program is, people start practicing this with each other. So there's very simple steps. You're making a link between the limbic system and the higher centers, bringing that to the heart, in the back of the heart. You're working with activating a chakra in the back of the head, which is an awakening planetary chakra, grounding it through the entire body into the earth, and then activating the Merkaba, which connects the physical body with the light body. And so people start, they learn how to do this, practice this with each other, and immediately discover that both giving and receiving, you're opening to the source energy.
And it really makes a difference.
It makes a total difference. And then people can do this for themselves.
We can try it at home with a partner, family.
Yeah.
Great. Besides this program, you also wrote some books. You're an author of several books. Can you say a bit about that?
Well, one book is simply about this, Ilahi Nur. It's called Ilahi Nur, Awakening the Divine Human. So this is a practical manual for using this morphogenetic field and then transforming the self. Another book is called Year Zero, and this is about the planetary changes, so it's the context. So blending science, mysticism, ancient calendar systems, new insights in biology, and putting it together is like a big jigsaw puzzle that is a blueprint for conscious evolution.
And do you also refer to science in your books?
Yeah. So a lot of it is very scientific. Not in a way that lay people get lost, but something that can make a bridge between the scientific paradigm and the spiritual paradigm.
And these books, where can people who are interested, where can they buy it?
Amazon or a local bookstore. They are in English. There's 5 of them actually right now. And I'm working on a new one at the moment, which I'm really excited about. I mean, this is something that's very new research. Actually, it's very old research, but newly awakening again. It's about the life of one of the best-known masters on this planet, but a completely different take on it. Okay. So it's the life of Jesus, which in the East is known as Isa. And so his travels in the East, his explorations with other spiritual traditions, and how it all came together at a time wasn't always recognized for what it was. But those teachings are available in a new way today, in a way that allows each of us to connect with that I am presence. So when Jesus says things like, I am the way, the truth, and the life, he's not speaking personally as a individual personality. He's speaking from that higher consciousness. And that same higher consciousness is available to everybody. And it's possible to connect with that higher consciousness for each of us.
Are you working alone at this project, this book? Or?
Yeah, so far I am.
And do you use new insights about this information, about Jesus and what you were telling?
Yeah, so there's a lot of new insights that are surfacing all over the world, but particularly in some of the Eastern traditions. It's there in the Buddhist and the Hindu writings. It's also there in the Coptic and Syrian churches. Much of it has actually been kind of suppressed by the Roman Catholic Church, but is being rediscovered and brought to the surface now.
Will it be a shock for the religious world?
Well, I hope so. I mean, when I say that, I mean that it could be controversial, but in a positive way. I think there's so many things that we have gotten stuck in. It's become part of our old belief system that doesn't serve us anymore. Ideas of one Son of God, rather than all of us being equally sons and daughters of the one divine presence, and the idea that any of us can access this. And then there's, as a very human person, rather than someone who's separate from us, he's a model for all of us to follow.
Mm-hmm.
Not a mediator that stands in between, but an example that shows us the way so we can connect with that presence within us.
Great. Can you give me the name one more time again?
Of this
The
book?
name of the book?
Well, I'm not sure yet because it's not
Okay.
written, but it may be called The Gospel of Marjan.
Okay, great.
And Marjan was his wife in Kashmir after his return to the East after certain events took place in Palestine.
And when do you expect we can buy it at Amazon?
Well, I hope it will be finished by the end of the year.
Okay, great.
And then there will probably be a movie edition as well, so I'm working with some producers and screenwriters on that.
You're looking forward to that.
Yeah, it will be interesting to see how that creates a paradigm shift.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for your time and for this interview.
Yeah, thanks a lot, Rob. It's great.